Podcast, killing everybody, taking dog tags. Dog, this is awesome. It's Optimus Prime and your quadrant is talking to you. Got that? I was in a mind when I crafted this. The Dungeon Master's wrath with a dash of sick. I dash like Sonic Mad, not a pacifist, but pacifist the tracks when I'm rapping, kids. We the last of us, the master race. Take him with a master hand, it's cancerous. I hit him with the master sword, and sure I make a nice sword, but I wonder how four guys make a Triforce.
Hey guys, you're listening to the Trinity Force podcast. This is episode number 139. I am Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and I'm your host for this wonderful evening. Hope you all enjoyed episode 138, where I finally lost my shit. And we had to shut the podcast off like 10 minutes early because Chira is too busy being a troll.
I didn't do a damn thing. Didn't do a damn thing.
The normal crew is with me. Sean, DeClaude, Dom.
Howdy.
Yo. Everybody's saying hello. Everybody is ready to podcast. We got the patch 4.3 notes that came out today. But before we start...
yeah, I love patch notes.
Oh, I know. We're going to discuss them. It probably won't be that long of a discussion, but when I say that, it'll be about a half an hour. So,
yeah. Turns out 55 minutes in. Oh, shit. We should do one listener question, right?
Right. So we had to go over some quick news. Guys, don't forget the LCS podcast goes live this Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That is, you can find that over at stream.trinityforcepodcast.com. And we also have a Audible trial you can check out. So if you guys want to go out there and you need some more to listen to after you're done with the podcast during the week, you can go to audibletrial.com/TForce podcast. You can pick up any audiobook for free. It's a 30-day free trial. You get one book with that, and you are strictly supporting the podcast. With that being said, some of you have helped directly support the podcast. I am not supporting us because I don't have the document open.
I got it. You want me to do this?
Yes, please.
We got donations from Aaron and Joshua. It doesn't say Josh, so I'm presuming he prefers the full name. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, guys.
We really appreciate it.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And if you guys would like to help the podcast out and continue to donate, we do have more podcasts now we're attempting to fund. So besides the Audible trial and your donations and ad revenue, we are trying to, fund more microphones and HD webcams for everybody. So if you want to donate, you find the PayPal link on trinityforcepodcast.com. So
if you like the other guys but you hate us, we'll still take your money. It's cool.
That's right. You know what? I'll take your money and I'll read your name and I will thank you very much on stream and on the podcast.
You can tell us you hate us.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening. Actually, I was listening to talk radio on the way into work this morning, and they were talking about haters and how there's people that go on Twitter and scream at them. Like I've had some of them. And
pretty much every interaction I have.
Yeah, they're like, and the one person was upset this was happening, and the other host was like, I just say thanks for listening. You can go on and on and on, and you're like, well, thanks for listening out of hatred, buddy. At least you're driving our numbers up. So
whatever it takes.
There's no bad publicity.
Right?
There's no bad publicity.
Right.
Well, there's some bad publicity.
Oh, no.
Well, the worst kind of publicity is when we have Dob tweeting about us. Everything else.
I don't know what you're talking about. That was great publicity earlier.
I missed it.
I asked on Twitter, I said, if we were a beer, if the podcast had a type of beer, what would it be? And Dom said something empty and tasteless, much like our content.
Wow, really?
More accurate words have not been spoken.
Yeah, thank you, Sean.
Now, he typed it with extreme sarcasm. You just couldn't tell while he was typing it.
Possible.
A lot of people replied to that one with pale ales because, we're all so pale.
I don't know.
Okay.
Except for Chira.
I think my favorite was a stout thick enough to mull over an hour. Then it leaves you bitter and angry, after one of DeClaude's puns.
Yeah, good old punch.
That's all. He doesn't have anything else to say. He's like, God damn it, he caught me.
I replied to it though. Nobody caught it though, but that's all right. Or replied. It wasn't witty enough, I guess.
Yeah. So I think that's everything with the quick news rundown. If you guys need all the feedback info, you'll find that at the end of the podcast. So let's jump in here and talk about patch 4.3. Server's going offline soon, and we're going to get ready to have a new champion to play with, which we are still not going to talk about until he's actually released. If you guys remember back a couple episodes ago.
But the Spotlight was released, so everybody got a little bit of a taste of him.
And that's pretty much all we have.
I have not had time to watch that thing yet.
Especially if you watch the end after the usual punch credit thing.
I didn't watch anything.
There's a couple seconds, and it's pretty funny.
I'll have to go back and watch that. So let's talk about the major changes in this patch right now. What we're looking at is Gragas Gragas got a nerf, Kassadin got a nerf, Kha'Zix got a nerf, Rise with a buff, Skarner with a buff, and Teemo Mushrooms got a nerf. And, of course, there was Yasuo who got a nerf. Lots of nerfs coming out of this podcast. With one
Corky's getting buff.
Yeah, he got a slight buff.
Finally, his Phosphorus Bob now has a 0.5 bonus AD ratio after how many years of never having anything?
A long time.
And two of my main go-tos, Sedge and Volley, are getting bug fixes.
It's like Maokai, where you get an indirect buff by having a
by everyone else
fix.
getting
Exactly.
worse.
No, Sejuani now her health now translates to the percentage of life damage she's doing, or the percentage of damage she gains.
Oh.
Sometimes it wouldn't. Same with Volibear. So
That's
Gotcha.
actually huge.
They weren't being
if
included.
It doesn't work.
it says fix a bug where it wasn't being included. I don't know how often that bug occurred, but
Somebody brought up that there's a bug with Vladimir too that they haven't looked at. He's not getting the proper
You mean
amount
he's
of
getting drained
health
while in
regen
pool?
too.
Apparently,
I
there's
think-
also a bug with Zac where the revive doesn't. Not the revive. The slingshot doesn't always sling you in the right direction. Or
oh
something.
yeah,
It
that's
doesn't.
been the main
But
gripe.
they have not been able to recreate it. The
Speaking of
last time
Zach,
I
they
saw.
buffed him too.
No,
Yeah,
they nerfed.
They
it.
sure did.
No, they buffed him.
Did I
They
read that?
increased the radius.
It's
which you
easier
can
for
step
him
on
to
as
grab
you
his
walk.
own blobs.
Yeah, but it's also stomp radius is also bigger.
That's fine. He's huge. His hitbox is huge.
You know what? You're right. Because of the way that they are,
Sometimes it's huge.
It should be huge.
the stomp rate, it's a wash, kind of. It depends on how
That's
you
what
play
I'm
him.
saying. So let's talk about the. I want to start with Kha'Zix because I think this is like the most controversial change that they did in this patch. I mean, you could arguably say that Gragas is as well, but right now Kha'Zix is known as that snowbally assassin, and when you evolve his Q, it's doing percentage of life damage. So they went ahead and nerfed it by 2%. Now it's doing 6% missing health in damage rather than 8%. And looking at that nerf, I look at that and say, all right, that's fine. It doesn't make or break the champion. It doesn't push him into obscurity by changing that. But then the next change is the one that's notable and was really needed, and that's maximum. This is evolved Q. Sorry, evolved in large claws only.
Right.
Maximum damage versus monsters was 200. Now it's 100. So it's been halved. And if you guys have watched an evolved Q Kha'Zix take out a dragon,
It's like 4 hits.
yeah, because you get 200 damage plus 6% missing health or 8% missing health before, plus whatever bonus AD you had and everything else.
It's
Yeah.
No,
ridiculous.
I don't think it was doing the bonus health damage. I think it just topped out at a certain number.
Oh, I guess it did. Maximum was 200, but still,
Yeah.
the dragon has like
Right. No, that was
6,000
a
life.
ton of. I mean, that was a lot of damage, and that's a way lower cap. But
And the big thing here too is those. I like this change because those. I like this change and I don't like this change because I think there might need to be a classification for like super monsters or something. Like I don't know if you want to call them. You can't call them super creeps, but like the Baron and
Just
Dragon,
Dragon and Baron, yeah.
could be a special kind of
boss
monster.
fights.
Yeah, that way you could balance around those.
Let them do more
balancing-
damage to that, yeah.
Yeah, because right now you don't get the isolate when you're in the jungle until you've killed all the little minions, and there's always more than one minion
Yep.
in the jungle or monster in the jungle. So you don't get that isolation damage until the end, and then it allows you to take it really quickly. So I wonder if they should add a special class for Baron and Dragon and start buffing or nerfing around that.
I could see that. That just gives them more power to change things and
without
more
dramatically,
fine-tune. They can
without
fine-tune
dramatically
things.
changing everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
actually
good idea, Adam.
I like that. I didn't know how I felt about this change at first, but I actually like it because it's not that major of a tweak, and it's a nice little numbers tweak. And I'd much rather them do something like that rather than just gut a character and like panic nerf like they've done in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, these are kind of more hesitant and
Right.
bit by bit kind of. And you know what? They coupled it with a buff. And actually, the buff
Well,
to
they
his
coupled
R.
it with a nerf as well.
Yeah, that's a
Right.
big nerf. I just got to.
One is E.
Is
You mean the
Yeah.
attack damage ratio? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
huge. They want it to be more utility of moving around instead of
That's fine.
Using it
just
to
blowing
execute.
people up, which
Yeah.
I'm okay with because that's pretty much what you use it for anyway.
I don't know if it should have been nerfed down to 0.2 AD ratio.
From 0.8, right?
That's really
Yeah.
heavy.
That's huge.
Yeah, because you could
It is
use
pretty
that.
big.
I used E quite a bit in lane. I mean, just not even evolved E, just E to help finish people off or, to start damage at level 2. You can do quite a bit with the Doran's. a Doran's blade, and you can pretty much all in somebody at level 2 with an
Not
ace
no
blade.
more.
The
But-
thing is, you finish someone off if it's evolved. You finish someone off with it, and then you can do it
You have to
again.
reset.
So
Right. Well, that's why
they
I'm
want you
wondering
to finish
if
someone off with something else.
that's where another thing is coming to the game. Should there be like a different classification for spells after it's been evolved? But how do you program that? That type of thing. Like when it's evolved, should it lose an AD ratio? Then people ride bitch because it's you're removing power.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a giant nerf on him. And
2 little buffs.
to little buffs, which is Void Assault ignoring unit collision is kind of big.
That is big.
That
I
is
like
huge.
that.
You can get to and away from people much easier.
Much easier.
So-
And then
Well,
the
you
extra
can get into
second.
the fray.
What?
You can get into the fray, like
Right,
Right,
you
you
can
can cut through the minions to get to your target.
or cut through champions.
Yep,
Yeah, it's kind of like a free ghost, but you get an invisibility with it.
it's nice. I actually like that
That's-
one. And
That's actually got to be the reason they nerfed E so heavily.
because
I mean,
That's the only thing I can think of because for E to get nerfed so dramatically is because they gave him a lot of power just being able to run through units. Like
Well,
for a
and
guy
now-
that's for a champion that's already pretty mobile to take away unit collision, like he's gonna be slippery as hell and like he's just gonna hit you from wherever, whenever.
only when he's in stealth though does he ignore that unit collision. That's the thing.
Right.
So they increased the duration from 1 second to 2 seconds. So they
No, I
pretty much
know,
doubled-
I know, but that's still huge. Like he can just go stealth and then run at you and murder you. As
Yeah,
opposed
it's a free ghost.
possibly
It's
having
it's
to
a
use
2
that
second ghost.
possibly having
Yep.
to use that jump to still get to you.
2 seconds is a lot for each time you use it.
It's only on the evolved one though.
Evolved active camp. Okay, so when he has the third one that he uses, or he evolves it and then all of them become 2 seconds.
All of them, yeah.
Is that
It's
one?
he just gets 3 charges. So
Right.
before he evolves it, it's just 2 charges. He doesn't get an extra bonus second added, but when you evolve it now, you'll get that extra charge to use it, but you get an extra second of invisibility every time you use the charge.
See, now at this
pretty good.
point, I feel like you should be evolving R at some point. Obviously your
Now,
last evolve. Like coming out
Yeah,
of
it seems like that's a great end of game team fight ability.
Yeah,
well before
that's
before for
6
me,
seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what I was going for. Before, for me, it was I might evolve W for the extra burst and for the extra team burst, the extra wide spray. But because I didn't always need that R to get in out, but now that R ignores unit collision when you're in stealth and you're gaining that extra time,
Might as well get another.
you might as well
Third
evolve
use.
it.
I actually
Yeah.
have to go and look at what E or what
Well,
leaps
and
evolved
it
effects are.
also offers more time for little mind games. Like, say you are trying to escape and they're chasing after you. You can run one way, invisible. As soon as you pop up, use it again, and then just fake it and go the other way. And you have an extra second of travel time to get places. So,
Right. Exactly.
it makes the ability more fun, in my opinion.
Well, see, anybody telling me right now that you should never evolve W on Kha'Zix, obviously has never played Kha'Zix, because I've got some people in chat like, oh, why would you evolve W? You sometimes need to evolve W first on Kha'Zix. Sometimes. It's a very small. It's probably like, one or three matchups that you're going against. Not 1 in 3, but 1, 2, 3 matchups where you need that wave clear and you need to be able to push back, to be able to roam or be able to be successful in lane. And so there was a case where you would evolve W, and especially when you are fed, there's not really a need to have that extra stealth or that stealth time because you're going in, killing somebody and jumping around, so that W just helps you get extra damage out in a wider spray. Like I said, you can do it. It's not advisable, but for most people, but you can do it.
So ideal situations, you're still not evolving W. It's the other 3.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's still
Now let's say it is one of those rare situations where you decide you do need to evolve W for reasons.
sure.
What are you likely sacrificing, since it's probably a case by case basis, but if you had to make a gut call.
You're sacrificing. Which of the abilities are you not evolving?
Yeah.
R,
Really? Okay.
in my opinion, because the Q damage, isolation damage, just was too high. It was 8%. And it still is. 6%.
It's down to 6, but that's high.
Right.
I mean, of missing health, I guess.
It sucks to have to evolve. I'm not saying you evolve W early. I would say that's your last evolve, and you do it based on how fed you are and what your team needs. So they need you to be able to go in there and get out. Like you can't.
Oh.
Well, okay, so you have
okay.
choice. If you need to wave clear, you evolve W early, And that wave,
obviously.
That wave,
right. That's why I brought it up, because you're evolving W early, so like now you have to make the decision later on because of your early
right.
things. Yeah, I guess it's kind of 6 one way, half the other as far as leap and or as far as E and R are concerned, aren't they? Because it's mobility either way that you are both gaining and losing.
You should be taking E no matter. You have to evolve E no matter what, or else you're not Kazakhs.
So you're choosing between Q and R.
Correct.
In that
You don't get the reset until you have the upgraded.
No, I know that. I see that. To me, it's sort of Q is so much more damage that it comes down to E and R, and like you either way you're putting yourself at risk. Like if you don't have the evolved R, now you basically have to use E to get into the fight, and so
you were using E to get into the fight anyway because you were
no, but that's my point. But now is a case where it's doing so much less damage that you're not necessarily using it to get into the fight, and you're using you could use R to get into the fight instead, since you can run through units and you're camouflaged. You see what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you could technically trade off the even.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. Like in the again, the ideal case is Q, E, and R based on what I'm reading. I'm not a Kazakhs player.
No, you're right. It is. It's Q, E, R.
But otherwise, like in the situations where you need to evolve E, W, it sort of seems like Q is the one you should get no matter what, because that's damage you can rely on, since E is so much less now, and you kind of got to decide which is more important: the reset or getting in unimpeded and like undetected and unimpeded.
Right. I put more weight
I kind of like it.
I put more weight on the reset and the jump, because it's also a further jump range, and you can make it
a huge jump range,
and that allows you to play more like an assassin, where you wait into the you wait in the side. We've talked about in the past where a lot of times you're playing Kazakhs LeBlanc, you wait until there's 2 seconds, 3 seconds into a fight before you make it in there to kill somebody.
But you could do the same thing with R in the patched state. But that's actually what I like.
In more of a you don't put yourself in an advantageous position with R, because you have to be closer to get in.
What I like about this change is it allows people to play Kazakhs in different ways. There's no longer a right way to play Kazakhs.
Sure.
You might prefer the jump, and Sean might prefer the stealth, and neither of you are wrong. I'm just picking names here, but there's neither of you are wrong for doing that. It just allows you to cater Kazakhs to your specific playstyle. I think they went a little heavy-handed on the nerfs to the jump damage.
Yep.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see that get a little love in the future. But overall, like, this makes Kazakhs really like a way more compelling character from a gameplay standpoint to me.
Yeah, I like Pone. I put a lot of weight on the evolving his leap, just because not only the range increase, but it's one ability you can engage and disengage, as long as you engage properly. And then you can still use your R. It's just not as effective.
And this whole conversation spawns from having to evolve W. And I would say 9 out of 10 matches, you're not going to ever.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But, I mean, it just, it got me thinking. And so
it's a good conversation to have.
Sparks a good conversation, yeah.
I think more people need to be aware of what happens if you decide to do one thing over another. That is maybe against the grain, or, why would you do this? Yeah, give and take. There's something for it. I do go ahead, Sean.
And it's interesting for a character like Kazakhs, because once you make that choice, you can't go back. So it just, for this situation in particular, it just makes it that much more impactful.
Unless there's a Rengar in the game and you kill him at level 16.
You're thinking, when would you need to evolve W? Let's say you're side pushing, you need to clear those waves fast so you can side push for your team. Or you also want to be able to disengage when the enemy comes for you. I think R would be more handy, obviously, because it's not like you're going to get a kill and disengage when they come to get you.
I wouldn't call W a side push evolve, because you're going to build Hydra on Kazakhs at some point, because that the auto attack reset you get off at TMS is kind of huge. You're evolving it early at level 6 because you have to be able to push back and have to be able to farm.
It'd be like if they had a Gragas or a Ziggs that was just shoving you to the turret the whole time, and you need to create some space. That way the turret's just not eating it, and it keeps them from just roaming anytime they want to.
It's one of the things you have to choose at
defensive.
6, and it's a defensive, because you're not going to be able to kill the guy, because for some reason you can't get in there and kill him. Maybe against LeBlanc is hard to say. Maybe if LeBlanc kills you early, you got to evolve that W so you can push back, but then I think she's just going to kill you no matter what, so your best bet is let your tower go and try to get kills elsewhere.
You know what I'm thinking of, don't you, Sean?
What, your stats?
No, he's. Sean and I did a Dominion game a while back, and he ended up bot lane as LeBlanc against a LeBlanc, and he said it was the hardest thing he's ever done.
It was
in League of Legends.
it was I can't even. It's like two. I explain it like this every time. I even tweeted about this. It's like an old timey Western quick draw, like between two gunslingers. I mean, whoever
twitches.
Yeah, as soon as somebody does anything, one of you are dead, and whoever fucked up is dead.
Yeah.
And there's no room for error because it's just insta dead. And going into a fight like that.
I mean, it wasn't like I think you came out ahead more often than not, but it was like a 60-40 split. It's not like you
exactly.
won
No, it wasn't. No. And half the time we'd kill each other at the same time. Just double W onto each other and dead.
Whoever fucks up first is toast.
Yep.
Let's talk about Gragas, shall we?
Sure.
So Gragas body slam. Dom,
Mr.
can you do me a
Man.
favor?
No.
Will you pull up Gragas for me and give me a rundown of his W real quick? I can't remember if he has a high base AD or if his W grants him AD.
His W grants AD.
Drunken whatever
Rage
gives
grants
him
AD.
Yeah, give me the numbers because what happened was body slam was doing quite a bit of damage, early ranks because I had bonus AD. So I wanted to say between Drunken Rage and body slam, you were chunking people, in auto attack range, and he shouldn't have that. His E should be used more of as an escape or.
What did you want from his W? The
I got it
damage?
here. Okay. Drunken Rage. I think these are actual important elements here. It has no cost and a 25-second cooldown, but it's active for 20 seconds. Mm-hmm. So, and then it does mana restore and also heals him because of the way his spell or everything else in his kit works. But it gives him 30 to 70 attack damage depending on its rank. That's a lot, especially for when he has an ability that's scaling with 30 or 66% of his total AD.
As well as the damage reduction.
His base AD is 55, just shy of 56. It's 3.3 something per level. I'm going to look to see where he falls in the scope of champions. But
no, when he popped his W, he had 60 AD. At
for 20 seconds. I mean, so that's helping him. He's dealing extra damage across the board.
He was a mage bruiser at that point.
Yeah, but this also completely removes him from the jungle.
Right. It'll slow down his clear.
Oh, this significantly slow downs his clear. Yep. You lose 30 attack damage on your auto attacks, and you're losing the ratio went down to 0.3 at level 1, and you were starting, level 2. Okay, so level 2, you would have W and body slam, right? So you could clear quicker out of the jungle. Did I get that right? Anybody cheer up?
That was correct.
That was what it was. You start E.
It gives you the damage reduction too. I mean, it was a significant amount of damage reduction you get out of the ability as well.
I want someone to correct me if I'm wrong, because I honestly don't know how to Gragas jungle. I'm just guessing based on his abilities.
Where's Josh? He would know.
Yeah, right.
Just a quick toss it in there. His base AD, it's in the middle of it. It's kind of towards the top of the middle, but he's really just in the thick of everybody else. And then his AD per level is also pretty much right in the middle. Yeah. Middle, but middle top. I mean, conceptually, even if you look at the guy, he should be a bruiser, but he's a total mage right now.
He's a fat mage.
He should be a bruiser, and his kit even has a lot of bruiser-like elements to it, but just because of his absurd ability power ratios, and frankly, absurd base damages on his AP scaling abilities are making him just a total mage. Yeah.
That's why he's such a popular pick in the LCS.
That's why I hate running into him every time I play a game in solo queue.
Oh yeah,
Drunken Rage is a ridiculous ability that has no mana cost.
Yep.
I agree. 100% with bonus attack damage, and then starting at 10 and up to 18% damage reduction.
Yeah,
and there have been times where people just literally live because they have that damage reduction going.
The damage reduction, in my opinion, is the most powerful part of the ability. But the other thing is with cooldown reduction, that thing gets to the point where you can keep it up 100% of the time for no
near
cost.
infinite sustain in lane. You're able to auto attack minions under tower and kill them after the 2 tower shots. Which what other mages can do that? Why is Drunken Rage not the ability being looked at right now? Why is Body Slam?
Because they're also really worried about his ability to take somebody from 100 to 0 0 in a split second. Brand can do that, but Brand's got to like do a little bit of work to get that done.
And
Brand's really the only champion that should be able to do it because he has he is all or nothing.
Well, I would say too, Brand's much squishier. Again, just look at Drunken Rage. The damage reduction, that 18% is a lot of damage reduction.
And it's not like Gragas takes somebody from 100 to 0 and dies. Gragas takes somebody from 100 to 0 and lives, and that's Drunken Rage, which is what Adam was concerned about in the first place.
Gragas takes someone to 0 without Drunken Rage. Gragas just
but Gragas
cues you
lives.
and you're dead.
Lives because of Drunken Rage.
Oh, sure.
Like LeBlanc can take somebody from 100 to 0, but then LeBlanc is probably in a shitty spot and she's gonna die.
Nah, she got her passive.
Got that W.
She got her passive. Just make the passive stand there and you walk the other way.
50% of the time, that works every time.
That's right. That's how I hear it.
He's like an AoE burst assassin mage bruiser. That should not be a champion in this game.
The power of drinking, folks. Just so you know, Riot.
Yeah.
Riot's trying to...
I need a beer. Can you guys talk about Cassidy and I can not be part of this conversation so I can get a beer?
What's there to say about Cassidy other than he got nerfed and those are not big enough nerfs to stop banning him?
I know. I thought the same thing. That's so funny.
Very
like
slight.
Somebody had mentioned it to me on Twitter, like, "Oh, those Cassidy nerfs." I'm like, "Yeah, he's still gonna have a 90%, 95% ban rate."
Well, and the thing is,
all he needs is one kill. It doesn't matter.
It's fine. Like the nerfs for the most part are just, slight damage nerfs on his base damage on his abilities. His ability rate power ratio
is a 5, 10, 15, 20 damage nerf.
That's nothing.
It's nothing.
Like the big thing here is the silence,
20 damage
right?
It's 20 damage lost at the stage of the game where Cassidy's murdering everybody and then walking away and laughing about it.
Yeah.
If anybody deserves a swag taunt, like just the taunt and walk away, that it's Cassidy right now. Heimerdinger doesn't deserve it.
The only notable change on here is the silence duration, going from 1.5 to 1 early, but even then that wasn't that big of a deal, that extra 0.5 seconds on lane, because at levels, let's hear, it'd be 2 seconds by the time you have it. So at level 6 it's 2 seconds now rather than
it's still plenty of time for him to get off his rotation.
Right.
That's all
even
that
after
matters.
the nerf, so
maybe
now you can flash away if you manage to live.
Still dead.
If they wanted to do something, they like actual nerfs that would stick and make something big, they needed to nerf ratios, not flat damage on his abilities.
I don't think there's anything you can do to Cassidy until you get rid of
trying to do a comprehensive overhaul of Cassidy, and in the they even say in the patch notes, this is just our attempt to do a small bandage fix without giving him the Eve treatment. But it's not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough. Not in the state of the game.
Yeah, and you know what? They even said in the patch notes they're currently working on more aggressive changes in the future, but in the meantime, they're just doing some tweaks to knock his power levels down a peg, and they're going to continue testing. So they're not ready to...
We're okay with the step nerfs.
At least they're stepping it instead of just waiting.
August? Like, how many
iterations?
It's
been a while. It has been a while.
Been on the PvE.
100% pick or ban.
No, but even just most of us keep up with Surrender at 20 at this point because I make all of us keep up with Surrender at 20. I mean, how many iterations of Cassidy have been on the PvE? Like 7
that they've just removed?
Yeah.
Yeah, they put it on and then
take
they
it down.
remove and put it on again, and then they're put on something new and it doesn't work. Like, they just keep doing that.
Who wants to see my Ninja Turtle pants? Because I'm going to get a beer.
Wait,
I need one of
these. Ninja Turtles, man.
Yeah, who wants to see my Ninja Turtle pants? Everyone watching the stream, check that out. Look at those bad boys.
He makes everybody wear a nice shirt and a tie. and then he brags about his Ninja Turtle pants that he's wearing with a shirt and a tie.
Hey, at least
please explain to me the rationality behind that.
I didn't want to put pants on.
Everything I've worn on the podcast is something I have or could wear to, or would wear to the office.
I'd wear all this to the office if I could. I'm just saying.
I'm sure you would.
If you could doesn't equal you can. Like, I don't... I'd go in naked if I could, but they probably frown on that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so I need you people to talk about Skarner because I really need a beer.
Okay,
Sean,
so
you're up.
Skarner, basically, Riot had just done the rework for him, but they aren't necessarily happy with where he's at like
Were you
just
happy with where he was at?
immediately post? To be honest, he
Post rework.
is kind of in the same spot he was at. His abilities are just different, but he's kind of in the same spot. There are some people that are diehard, like, oh, you know, I like him more. There's other people that are like, oh, this sucks. In fact, I know Andrew, mutual friend of Dominar's, just does not like the new Skarner at all.
No, I knew he would hate. He's that guy who gets pissed off every single time there is a change to a champion. Then he gets outraged. He's super pissed. Like, they're gonna break it. You know, they're gonna break my champion and everything. And then he moves on to something else.
So I know that on the forums they had asked, because a lot of people felt that the slow on his E, which is his fracture, wasn't enough for
Enough for him
yeah,
to close.
it wasn't that great of a slow for him to actually get in and start doing things. So
Yeah,
they
I
buffed
noticed that.
they buffed fracture by like 15%.
Per rank. Yep.
Pretty much
It
across the
needed
board.
it.
All the way. It did.
If I think as long as E has an early good slow like that 45%, I think 45% is more than enough.
I
'cause
think
we said
45%
before,
solid. That's like an Olaf axe.
That's all it needed.
Yeah, I mean, it's the 45%. I mean, it goes 45, 50, 55, 60, 65. 65% is a pretty good slow. Especially if you actually can get into the fight and you're doing stuff.
It's
you
not
know-
like it decays or anything either.
Right,
That's
right.
slow.
And then another issue with him, and this is because he spammed